Good afternoon. This is Geoenvironmental Atmospheric Forecaster Andrew Fleck. And so today what we are going to show you is the possible implications for next week and early next week of an East Coast threat. Again, right off the bat, this is not a forecast. We are going to pick one model off of this video here. We're going to talk about it and just show you some alternatives. This again is no forecast. We're not putting out a snow map, rain map, wind map for the East Coast next week. None of that nonsense, at least till this weekend. But we want to show you the scientific background of what we're thinking here and the factors that are on the field to play. So before we show you obviously that threat, we also want to bring to your attention the very quick visual of where the remnants of once Hurricane Sandy remain. We have it up here about Canada. Wrapped around the center still, we have some winds. On that deeper orange, we have some convection, but again, most of that is off the shore. The systems begin to expand, and from there, it's going to continue off to the northeast and should just absorb into the northern jet stream. And from there, Sandy is disappeared from before our eyes, but leaving quite a mess for many to clean up across the coastal and inland regions of the mid-Atlantic and northeast. And from there, as I said, it absorbs into the northern jet stream, but then could potentially back up the pattern, and that could be a contributor for what we're looking at early next week. We're going to explain all of that on this video today. So what I first want you to bring your eyes to is the left side of this image. Off the Pacific Northwest, we have a spinning low pressure here quite a bit off the coast. Ahead of that, we have some convection. This is going to be the system that bears watching for the East Coast early next week. Now, I'm going to bring the models. I'm going to pick one model, in fact, into this video that we're going to talk about toward where this takes this low pressure and what it does with it, why it does, and why it will happen and why it won't. So from there, again, notice we did make that red L for low pressure off the Pacific Northwest. That's currently where this is, and we're going to show you the GFS. The GFS has initialized this to be correct and right about here off the Pacific Northwest. Now, we're not going into, again, the point of where this initialized, did it initialize correct, where this brings snow to, where it brings rain to, does it form a big East Coast storm? Again, that's forecast worthy, and we're not going to put any of that out till about this beginning of the weekend or late this weekend. So for now, we're just taking a model and we're just using it as guidance, and we're showing you the alternative of it. So from there, as I've shown you, that's where the GFS initializes this low pressure to be, and from there we have the trough in the east. That's due to Hurricane Sandy, a bit of a ridge. And again, this is all for today, Wednesday and Thursday. And by Sunday, that same low pressure that we highlighted is now going to be over the upper Midwest. And so you can see it here over Minnesota. And ahead of that, we have still that trough and that energy from Hurricane Sandy, the remnants at least. And that might just cause the pattern to back up a little bit. And when that backs up, we're going to have the trough deepen behind this. All right, and so now we have the potential for troughing to come into play because it can't just go east. So for it to go east, it has to dig southward and then east, and if all dynamics shape up to be correct, that could cause a trough, and that potential for, as we've been mentioning, and only mentioning and not forecasting, the chances for an early next week coastal storm. So that, again, is for about Saturday and Sunday. And then by about Tuesday and Wednesday, look what we have. That backing up has led to this to dig much deeper. You have the trough, the colder air behind it, and you have yourself a low pressure system right here. And ahead of that, we have some rain, some wind, and behind that, we have a little bit of snow, so a mixture of everything. Now, again, this is not a forecast. It's only some guidance. It's only to show you what the GFS is hinting on. A lot of factors are going to change yet, but for right now, to put out a map, as I've said, a snow map, a rain map, when this hasn't even made itself landfall into the Pacific Northwest, Why in the world would we do such a thing? We don't know the effects it's going to have as it moves finally on shore. We don't know the energy that Hurricane Sandy or the remnants of Hurricane Sandy are going to bring upon the northern jet stream or the pattern, if it will back, if it won't. All these factors come into play. Yes, the NAO is negative. Yes, we know that. But how negative will it allow for this to be a complete blocking scheme to set up such a storm such as this for early next Tuesday and Wednesday? And then last but not least, we're going to show you that same GFS model and the precip that it brings upon to the region for, again, next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. This is something that's going to change every model run that comes out. But we'll just give you a good visual of what it would do anyway. Again, it would probably just be positioned here over the mid-Atlantic as of right now. Colder air comes behind it, snow for the inland locations. To the north and east of it, more wind for those locations off the mid-Atlantic and northeast coast, and more rain also. But, you got cold air, you got some moisture involved. It's definitely showing on some models phasing. Other models like the Euro and the Canadian, it's not. The GFS just tends to obviously phase it and wrap it inland more and cause more of the effects you see in front of you. Again, the Euro out to sea, the Canadian out to sea, or at least coastal and out to sea. And so that's why there's no forecast, nor why there should be a forecast involved, but only a simple mention. And that's what I think right now. That's what our team thinks right now. And if model guidance begins to agree, we're going to put out a forecast late this week or even this weekend. But as of right now, we need to watch at least that system come on shore to the Pacific Northwest. And from there, we'll have a better indication if this is something to be taken more serious. We'll be able to see how much the pattern backs up from the remnants of Hurricane Sandy. All of these factors come into play, and we will obviously see what the models do from here on out. But as of right now, be sure to follow Geoenvironmental Atmosphere at geoea.org and our Facebook page, which we're also very active in. So you have a great rest of your day. You don't worry about this system quite yet, and we'll let you know when you have to be. Have a good one once again.